Hey, team, empower me. How are you? Red Sharple's coming at you live from his desktop. I thought I would take a few minutes of your day to talk about this month's topic about identifying with your goals. And for a lot of us, and we heard a little bit on our kickoff, is really kind of as we think about setting goals, we really get fixated on a very specific end point. And so I think we had heard some folks about what job, I want to know what jobs are out there before I set a goal. Well, which in essence can help. And so we'll always work to that end. But I want to kind of maybe approach setting goals from a little bit more of an esoteric level. And so I thought we would break it down today. And so without further ado, let's talk about is you're going to go set a goal for you in your career. How should you go about it? And my first recommendation is, of course, if today's the day you're making that discussion or you're having that discussion with yourself, then think about defining your state. What state am I in as a professional moving forward with my career? And so to give you kind of some context on that, here's a couple of things that I'd like you to get a piece of paper and consider writing down. Write down what your current skills are today. What do you have for skills that are marketable or leverageable or relatable? Consider looking at yourself from, well, what is your natural talent? What are some of those talents and strengths that you possess that you know as well could help move your career forward? Um, and then think about your character. What are the attributes of your character also that you know for a fact today are things that folks value? And you should think about availability. Are you ready yet for this? Are you really ready to kind of make those times? And if you are, then make that commitment. Once you've done that, by all means, let's talk about the long term. So now you're ready to talk about what's that end state. And even though I know in some cases it's good to kind of know specifically which job and which department that I'm setting for my goal, it's not always necessary. And so I want to give you some flexibility here to consider setting your end state from that achievement perspective. But what role in the case of a specific job, or what role would I like to play within the construct of my contribution to this company? Uh, maybe it's an accomplishment, right? So, hey, I want to be able to have accomplished a certain amount of education or a certain amount of recognition or reward. You can kind of start to pen that down. And in many cases, sometimes it's just around security. My end state, I would like to have the security of knowing that I have this much to offer, to bring, and really maybe some control over where my career will be. Now, when you think about end state, I think it's good to talk about time in this piece. And so for the exercise, I would say set your end state 12 months out at a minimum, and maybe no more than 36 months. So a year to 3 years. Allow yourself some freedom to kind of describe who you will be in that 1 to 3 year period from the point, are you a high contributor? Are you a member of a team? Are you a creator? Think about it along those terms, and not so much about which job and which department, unless you already know. And by all means, then write that down. But let's say now that you've got this all kind of down, and so you've got your bookends. I know who I am today and what I bring. I know where I'd like to be 12 to 36 months down the road and what I can bring there. Then I'll challenge you to come back to this immediate phase, and I want you to start saying, okay, if that's where I want to be and this is what I got, what do I need to kind of put in front of me in the immediacy of the moment? And think about that along the terms of education, training, or skills refresh. So for some of us, we might need to consider, something around a secondary education. Then by all means, write it down and start the process of exploring and determining where you are in relation to achieving that, or some training, or hey, I've got these skills, I just haven't used them with the frequency or recently. So then how do we put those in there to say I want to be sure I get some refresh on that? Now you have that, you have your today, you have your bookends, and now like right in front of me, I've got to have a couple of these things come into play. But how do you utilize all of that? And so this is where we talk about the mid-range piece, or what we call your supporting state. And in your supporting state, my recommendation here is again, don't get fixated on, hey, if I want to be a manager someday, I got to get coach. because then it's dependent on whether there's a coach role available today or next month or what have you. So look within your own role and find out, how does this role allow me to support my plan and my goals. So look for things that you can get additional experience within your role or exposure to the field of interest. So when you think about it from that terms, you've got a great definition of who you are today. You've got a really good description of the state you want to achieve at the end. You've got some fundamental blocks of which you got to pursue on your immediate phase, and then your mid-range supporting state. You'll start to kind of say, now, how do I get opportunities to contribute within my role that gains some experience that I can leverage and utilize on my end state, or what areas that I can partner in and be exposed to that gives me that vision of where I'd like to be. So hopefully that this is a different way of looking at things, but allows some of you to kind of go, hey, I think I can map mine out. But some of us, we need something that's a little bit more demonstrative. So I'm going to attempt to do this all over again, but I'll use myself in my demonstration or my example. So for Red, he wants to set a goal 12 months to 36 months out. So today I'm going to define my state, and I'm just going to keep it real simple for the purpose of this call. I'm just give myself three um, acknowledged skills, talents, or attributes, right? And in the case of this, I would tell you that I am adept at problem solving. And my problem solving sometimes is a symptom of my strategic thinking. For me, it's not about whether I build a strategy. Strategic thinking defined for me is really around I look at things from multiple perspectives or consider alternative methodology in which to achieve my outcomes. And those two play very well together. I've also have a better than average working knowledge of Excel, which I feel is a great skill to have when I start talking to you about my end state. So let's talk about Red and his end state. So 12 months to 36 months, I do know that I want to get back into leading a team. And if I can do that and that works for me, I also want to lead a team that's got performance at its base, or its performance orientation. I love the with something on the line, deadlines and competition. And if I'm going to lead a team and have this all in the mix, I want also elevated responsibility, such as a senior manager role. Where, I'm not sure yet, but I do know that those are the things that I'd like to set and determine as my goal. Now, having set my bookends up, what do I need for an immediacy piece? For me right now, I need to reestablish a relationship with a mentor who has walked that path, that understands the things that I should have my eyes on, the things I should be gaining for experience and exposure. So I need to go out and determine and establish a mentor relationship. Also, because for me, in my unique situation, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have an opportunity arise before, like maybe an on-site position where I might be managing remotely. So I'd love to get some courses on leading a remote team and how to influence folks from afar. So now I have that piece and my immediate piece. I want to look at my mid-range and supporting state. For me, two areas that I think are really critical. First one is I'm on a project right now to enhance the coach onboarding experience. I need to volunteer to lead that project. That will give me experience on how to motivate and influence and guide remote persons that are a member of this project team currently. Also, I have had this conversation, but I need to ask, and I have asked it to be my manager's point of contact or POC for anything that they, when they have their time off or they're out of the office. And this will give me exposure. I'll be able to attend senior level meetings and be part of conversations that are solving problems kind of way beyond what I'm currently exposed to now. So in my example, I've given you how I define myself today. I've looked at my end state. I believe my end state will allow me to take my problem solving and strategic thinking and have a larger base of influence and impact. I'll need my Excel skills with my data analysis and my trending analysis to come into play. A mentor keeps me on path, on track, and allows me to kind of make sure I'm seeing everything the way I need to do it. Plus some additional education will definitely enhance my candidacy. And of course, my support state, I believe, is pretty tactical and will give me what I want. So I share that with you to give you the example. Hopefully for you guys, it answers some questions if you've had them around how to determine your goal and really identify with your goal. And for some of you, this may have just created more questions. In both cases, great. What I want to know is when we get together and we do our review session, bring your aha moments if they were determined from this slide or from the material we supplied in your playbook, or bring your questions. And if either of those are things you just can't hold on to for the next week and a half, then jump in our Slack and share what you got. In the meantime, guys, I hope you have a great day today. Thank you for letting me have a few minutes with you. Super pumped that we're all doing this together, and we will talk soon. Empower Me is a thing, y'all. Catch y'all soon.